lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
From Iowa Speedway, the Racers Elite Cup Series is ready for one more playoff battle before next week's finale here in the Hawkeye State. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Newton, Iowa, where we just sit a short drive across I-80 from the state capital, Des Moines. Last week in Kansas, we continued to see the success of non-playoff drivers when Curtis Eckert captured the checkered flag as he finished just 0.2 of a second ahead of Brandon Zimmerman. After 3 playoff races, the question becomes whether one of these playoff drivers is going to land in victory lane tonight, or if once again we watch someone else doing donuts on the front stretch. I'm Dave Regal alongside my esteemed partner, Mr. Shane Lake, here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and we'd like to thank you for making SRM a part of your evening, because we'll be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, we're just waiting for Shane to slide on in here as He's tied up in traffic on the way to the broadcast booth. Things happen. Sometimes the real world gets in the way, but I'll tell you what doesn't get in the way right now. Competition. Right now, 15 drivers are in the session tonight. They include some of the big names like Truth Hoke and Kensley Smith, Brandon Honeycutt, and of course some of the other names that are here to take them on, even though they're non-playoff drivers like Alan Bergen and Jacob Plank and Marshall Harris. So, you know, we've seen a couple of weeks in a row now, in fact, 2 back-to-back by the same driver for wins. And then, of course, last week's winner, you know, again, not a playoff driver. And, you know, you would think that that would upset a lot of people and say, hey, listen, you know, Joe Hudson, there you are taking a win away, you know, at Michigan and then Kansas. And then, of course, you know, last week we're at Texas Motor Speedway. Curtis Ecker takes the win from Texas Motor Speedway. So, you know, all things considered, these drivers have been incredibly respectful of one another here in this. And in this league, of course, we want to take a quick peek and see where everybody sits right now. Brandon Zimmerman with a commanding lead over the points as we get ready to rock here tonight at Iowa. Of course, just an interesting race, an interesting racetrack here, of course. But Brandon Zimmerman and Alex Teff, they stay the same. Brandon Honeycutt and Ira Kohlhaas flip-flop positions. So Honeycutt running in third right now. Kohlhaas sliding back 9 points behind in fourth. Kensley Smith holds on to fifth with Jason Bottoms and Andrew Teff. They both flip-flop. Then Truth Hoke and Dennis Kane. Truth Hoke actually gains 2 spots. Greg Robinson slides down 3. Sam Kohlhaas and Noah Tansman both holding on to 11th and 12th, with Dennis Kane holding on right here in the middle of all of that mess. So a couple of drivers flip-flopping positions, but you know, it's go time if you're Alex Teft and you need to get around Brandon Zimmerman. It's go time if you're Ira Kohlhaas and you're trying to finish ahead of Brandon Honeycutt. A lot of these drivers, you know, the urgency and that sense of urgency is bigger and bigger every week as we get around here at Iowa. So want to welcome everybody in, of course, as we're still waiting for Shane. And there he is as he straps the headset on, gets the microphone turned on. Shane, how you doing tonight?
Iowa racing with Nextgen cars. I am excited to see how this is going. It's a whale battle. Oh, don't tell me it's doing this tonight.
While Shane gets his microphone fixed, we're going to take a look here at our race conditions for the evening as we get one graphic out of the way and bring the next one up here. Qualifying just about over with a minute left in it. The internet to...
Oh, that means this is all in.
Looks like we may have to wait until the end of the session. So, 67 degrees in the stands right now, 68 degrees on the asphalt. As we wait patiently, there it goes. There's one away. Let's see if we can get the other one to get out of here, as apparently we're stuck in replay mode. Something's going on with the iRacing.com server. The server is running. We're running, but there's something wrong with iRacing.
When is there not something wrong with iRacing? What are you talking about?
I have lost the screen. I see nothing, and it thinks that we're in replay.
Oh, that's never good.
So while we try to figure this one out, let's see if it's me. Folks, you were just going to have to peel back the camera here for a second. Nope, it says that we're fine. It is gone. The server is gone.
What?
We are going to step aside, folks. I hope you enjoy these ads for just a little bit here as we try to figure out what's going on with iRacing.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. to lead across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Masker has to defend this contact very nearly. He just to the outside line. He breaks so much later. Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does.
Welcome back to Iowa Speedway. Dave Regal and Shane Lake with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We want to apologize for those technical difficulties, but the iRacing.com pace car is leading us down pit road as everything's going to reload itself in real time right now. As Kensley Smith in the 15 gets us loaded up, let's see if we can see our qualifying results. It looks like Truth Hoke in the 59 going to be our pole sitter. The iRacing.com pace car makes the hard left turn down pit road. No, it doesn't. As we're going to have one more. Thank God. Truth Hoke, or I'm sorry, Kensley Smith going to be our pole sitter, joined by Truth Hoke on the outside of row number 1. Row 2 featuring Brandon Honeycutt and Dennis Kane. Alan Wild and Brandon Zimmerman going to be in row number 3. Come on, driver information. There it is. Row 4 featuring Andrew Teft out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island, and Alex Teft, both of those brothers in row number 4. Row 5 featuring Jason Bottoms and Curtis Ecker, while Alan Bergen and Kirby Wayne Scott going to roll off in row number 6. Jacob Plank and Troy Thomas each starting in row number 7, as Marshall Harris not going to take the start tonight. We can see nothing but playoff drivers here in the top 5, with Alan Wild kind of the fly in the ointment, as the iRacing.com pace car now brings us in to turn number 3. And as we make our way through turn 3, looks like Truth Hoke is going to be looking right behind. The only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some popcorn, call a friend, settle in. Race fans, it's showtime!
And everyone seemed to like my green flag starts, man. That was good.
That is my homage to Tony Trapasso, in whose booth we really sit.
Hey, man, I'm here for it, as we got ourselves a battle for the lead already. As it looks like Truth Hoke's going to end up working that outside line. That's the best thing that Iowa has, is you have multiple grooves at this track that can provide amazing racing, especially for the car if it's set up right. And it seems like he takes the middle lane away from Brandon Honeycutt as we come through lap 2.
Yeah, the 59 getting it done right now for the time being, and he starts to get ready to gap everybody by about 0.3 of a second as we pull up those standings. Here they are on the left side of your screen. He's already got nearly a half second over Kensley Smith, but the battles are starting to get a little heated back here as we go under caution. Brandon Honeycutt perhaps being involved in this one. Let's take a look back at the replay and see what happened. Here's Brandon Honeycutt in the 13, and the cold tire bug got him.
Yeah, it did.
Well, that's not how you want to start the week before the season finale.
No, it's not. Now, is it just me, or does that paint scheme remind me of a lot of Davey Allison's 1990 paint job?
No, I'm going to go with that one. Let's see what we got here. Enough is enough, he says.
Oh, boy.
I have news for him. It's only lap 4.
Tempers flaring on a short track already? That sounds normal.
Yeah, because I know short tracks are usually such calm places to go. It's like going to, Phoenix.
Depends on which version of Phoenix you go to.
Old Phoenix, the one where Kevin Harvick used to get a 3-second lead over the rest of the field, put it on cruise control, and just bring home a checkered flag. That one.
Oh, the one that's got the curb in the middle of the back straightaway. Yeah, I got
Attaboy,
that.
Luther.
I always hop the curb when I run that track.
I'm just glad they took it out.
True.
You know, once upon a time, there were certain tracks. I mean, Kevin Harvick back in the day was dominant, and as a Dale Jr. fan, I was always like, oh, here comes this effing guy, you know?
Right.
But there were some tracks that were just, for lack of a better term, Kevin Harvick tracks. If you let him get into that clean air, he would just set sail and pull away from everybody. Phoenix was one of them. You know, Auto Club was one of them. It was incredible to watch him drive some of those places.
Atlanta, Richmond, those two come to mind.
Yeah, you know what? I can't wait. One of these days, I would love to get to Richmond. It just looks like a fun place to see a race.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, after they got the renovation job done 2015, 2016, the place has been spectacular.
I mean, racetracks generally have a lot of character away from the track itself as well. You know, I was down at Dover a couple of years ago, and one of the things that struck me as being incredibly weird was that, you know, you see this on TV, and it's beautifully produced by Fox, and you know, I don't want to take anything away from that, but you know, just simply going behind the grandstands where where you can smoke or do whatever you got to do back there. It's the snack bar is like, oh, would you like a walking taco? And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, it's just, it felt like I was at a Little League field when it came to concessions.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about tracks is their concessions. Everyone's got to be a little bit different. Everyone's got their certain quirks. Martinsville hot dog comes to mind. You go to New Hampshire, there's a lot of seafood stuff that you can pick up. Richmond also has impeccable food, so I wouldn't mind being there sometime myself.
Miami's food choices were incredible. I had a hot dog with julienne fries and pineapples on it, and I initially, because I'm a hot dog connoisseur,
Right.
that's a whole nother thing. But as a hot dog connoisseur, I was like, I'm sorry, did you say that you put pineapple on this? And it was the most delicious hot dog I think I've ever had.
Pineapple on a hot dog. I'm going to have to actually try that.
I feel like it's sacrilegious to put it on pizza, but on a hot dog, I gave it a try. I did. I figured, because here's the thing. Hot dogs can be prepared in so many different ways in so many different corners of our country. You know, in Chicago, they deep fry them and put a pickle on them and like a full tomato. You know, here in the Northeast, a lot of sauerkraut, onions, the Coney Island hot dog, another one. But so when I see the way that different people prepare their tube steak, I gotta try it.
I hear you, dude. Believe me, I hear you. Well, that's what happens when I randomly decide to join after being off for almost a week.
It's all right. We'll warm you back up.
I thought I was warmed up after the 600.
I'll tell you what, that was a thing of beauty that evening.
It really was.
I think that was some of the most fun that I've had at the microphone in a long time. And look, I was literally here passing out because I was exhausted from the day previous. And it was just like, thank God for you and Mettler just bailing me out.
Dude, I was calling that, watching the race on my TV, and I was on my phone calling this as we go back to green with Truth Hope getting his advantage again.
And they say men can't multitask. Truth Hope takes off in front of Brandon Zimmerman, 0.4 of a second already, as they are back here hot and heavy around Andrew Teft in the 98. As we look from above, we see the 98 McDonald's machine working just on the inside of Dennis Kane. They've got Alan Wild trailing them. Alan Wild qualified on the inside of row 2. He now runs in 7th position, trying to stay ahead of Jacob Plank in the 35.
I love the look of that 98 car. That brings back memories of Bill Elliott running his own team, the Mac Tonight paint job. I just love how that thing looks. I've actually got a couple of die casts of the Mac Tonight paint job. I just love that car.
Man, you know what? There were so many cool paint jobs back in the 90s. And especially when you consider the fact that we now take for granted that, McDonald's is open until late at night. Once upon a time, McDonald's didn't even have breakfast. Now, I wasn't alive for that, but it's always hard for me to wrap my brain around the fact that once upon a time there was no Big Mac, there was no breakfast, and they were only open until like 8 o'clock.
Yeah, those were some real old school days right there.
My dad still has a coffee cup from the year that McDonald's started serving breakfast. It's like a little frosted white glass cup that says "Good morning" next to the arches.
That is a collector's item for sure.
I've always been fascinated with the fact that, it's the golden arches, but it looks like an M. Like, I can only imagine the anger that the original McDonald's brothers had for these people.
Oh, they had to be livid for the longest time. I mean,
And they sold off for like $1 million.
Look at the investment now, multi-billion-dollar corporation.
All because of a milkshake mixer salesman.
Yep.
Kensley Smith now under assault from Truth Hoke in a battle for second position that's quietly starting to build in intensity here as Truth Hoke looks from behind to Kensley Smith. We're going to go on board right now with Truth. From Hickory, North Carolina, he's starting to close in about 0.4 of a second. He started out quite a bit further back. As he looks here to the inside, it almost looks like he's fighting a tight condition as he makes entry into 1. And when he rolls out of 2, he's got to be real ginger on that throttle. Let's see if he's got the same problem. Yeah, that nose is not pointed down far enough to be considered loose.
No, that car is definitely not happy. That's why he's running in the second groove. But even still, that thing is not happy right now. They're going to have to do something to try to loosen that car up to try to get a little bit better performance out of it, or else he's going to burn that right front tire off.
Well, and in a place like Iowa, there's not a whole lot of high banking, so you wind up, whoa, look at this. All of a sudden here, Kensley Smith looks to the inside of Brandon Zimmerman. In a place like Iowa, it's not high banked, but it's continually banked. So you're cooking that right front tire almost the entire lap.
Yeah, and the way this track is also bumpy through the middle of 1 and 2, you really got to have the setup right for this, or else you're going to skate the front end clean up into the third groove, and you're going to keep burning that right front tire off.
Well, and that's what makes the Racers Elite League so interesting to me because, of course, this is a fixed setup league, and what that means for you folks at home that don't know, that means that these drivers all have the same setup. The chassis is exactly the same from car to car to car. And the only thing that these drivers can adjust is the creature comforts, where that wheel is offset to and where the brake bias is set to. Other than that, everything is exactly the same. So a driver now has to make, strategic adjustments in order to get around and boogie around this racetrack.
Yeah, and if I was fighting a tight car like that 59 of Truth Hoke is fighting right now, I'd probably have a little bit more brake bias to the rear to try to help get the car to swing into the corner a little bit more. So that way I could try to get the arc coming off of it.
Yeah, put some of that brake bias to the rear and then back up that braking distance as Alan Bergen registering as having crashed, and here we are under caution. Let's see what happened to poor old Alan here in the 00 as it looks like he's just got the rear end. Whoa, steps around. Ooh.
Well, it looks like the thing skated up on him. He tried to put some throttle in it, and I think he put a little too much throttle in it. Say hello to the wall for me.
Yeah, let's take a look at this from the gyro cam on the inside of Alan's car now.
Right there you can see the car skate up.
And he overcorrected, and here it comes. He can't catch it in time, and boom goes the dynamite right into the safer barrier.
And again, that's the nature of these cars. You can only get one chance to save it because of the rack and pinion steering, and unfortunately, you couldn't do it.
So we're under caution for the second time tonight. 160 laps the scheduled distance, 21 in the books so far. We should see pit stops around 30 to 35. There's 5 sets of tires altogether. I'd be curious if anybody would decide to come down. Looks like Truth Hoke and Dennis Kane each coming down. Andrew Teft and Brandon Honeycutt, they come down pit road. They're going to get pit service here. Let's see what these drivers are going to do as they come down here.
I think this is a long-term strategy move because what they're looking to do is try to cycle ahead of everybody and try to be out for the second or third pit stops and try to be ahead of them.
Yeah, it looks like literally the whole back half of the field from 7 to 14 is all down pit road. 1 through 6 all staying out. So we're going to have to watch what these drivers do. Whoa, missed his pit box, does the 13, as he's got to slide back in there. That's Brandon Honeycutt. Now Truth Hoke getting 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast. He spins him coming off of pit road, trying to get out ahead of Kirby Wainscott in the finger-licking good number 10. And Wainscott looks like he still didn't beat Hoke off of pit road, but that was as close as anybody's come so far.
Yeah, Truth only had to go about 20 feet. Even with the tire spinning, he's still going to be able to beat most people off of pit road.
Kensley Smith. Well, folks, I got him already, and it's only lap number 23, and fortunately, you couldn't hear me at home as I whispered sweet nothings into my partner's ear. Kensley Smith, Brandon Zimmerman, Alex Teft, Alan Wild, Jacob Plank, and Curtis Ecker, your top 6, they all chose to stay out, while Truth Hoke all the way down through Alan Bergen came down pit road. Looks like Bergen back out on track, and very limited damage here. In fact, let's see if we can take a closer look at the front end here of the 00 Toyota Camry, and sure enough, looks pretty clean to me.
Yeah, I think he only kissed the front end off the wall, so it's probably minimal damage to get fixed.
Well, Alan should have been fixed long ago.
Oh, it's going to be a long 130-odd laps left, ladies and gentlemen.
That's what we're here for. We're here to entertain and inform as Kensley Smith rides behind the iRacing.com pace car. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, making us a part of your evening. Thank you for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Jason Bottoms cheering everybody on here as he says, there y'all are. Yeah, he must have caught us during the blackout. But,
yeah,
you know, why not?
Well, at least the blackout was taken care of and we were able to bring everyone the green flag.
Well, fortunately, I think that may have been race control noticing that we were down and trying to reboot.
Yeah, it could have been.
Nothing like a heads-up race control operator. I mean, you know, that's the thing. Race control is one of those thankless jobs, and I feel like we need to tip our cap to them more often than we already do.
Yes, for sure.
I'd say it's like being an umpire in Major League Baseball, but really it's more like it's like being a cop. They're great when they're nearby you and they're keeping you safe, but they're not so great when they're pulling you over.
Well, at least it's not like being Angel Hernandez, and thank God he retired.
Out of a job as an umpire, but here we go, back under green flag conditions as Kensley Smith gets the jump over Brandon Zimmerman. Alex Teft and Alan Wild in hot pursuit as everybody trying to shuffle themselves around and get themselves into a comfortable position. Taking a look at Curtis Ecker here in the 19, chasing down the 33 of Alan Wild. They're going to work the high side here of Alex Teft. None of those drivers that came down pit road a little bit ago, with the exception of Truth Hoke, are up here challenging these older tire drivers. And you almost have to wonder if, you know, to your point, Shane, if this strategy move was to try to get themselves fresh tires and last longer, this may be the only way to do it.
Yeah, because a lot of these guys that are going to be looking to go 3 or 4 stops are basically committed every 30, 40 laps. But if you come in now, like what the back half of the field did, you might be able to extend it to maybe 60, 70 laps and try to put a monkey wrench in everyone else's plans to try to end up stealing a position or even the win.
Off pace here is Kirby Wainscott as he just slid all the way back here to 12th position in the 10. And I mean, he was battling his way off a pit road right around Truth Hoke, who now runs in 4th position, and now Wainscott all the way back here into 12th. So questionable decision there. Not sure what's caused the slide for him, but 2/10 of a position, 2/10 of a second just behind Kensley Smith is Brandon Zimmerman from Gloucester as he rolls out of turn 4 down the front stretch. He's going to try to find a way to get up to Kensley Smith. And I mean, this is one of those leagues where you can get up there, but it's a matter of being able to pass them. That's the hard part.
Yeah, and once the groove really starts forming here at Iowa, everyone and their brother is going to be running in it. So it's going to take somebody to adventure down to the bottom of the track or to try to get the top groove working to start making passes. And unfortunately, the inside here at Iowa is not exactly user-friendly.
No, in fact, here we are riding along with Jason Plank as we pop up the camera here and rotate over to watch Brandon Zimmerman in the 65. We go under caution as Curtis Ecker, we said a moment ago that he was off pace, and now he's really off pace as he's registering as having crashed. Let's see what happened with Curtis. As Curtis Ecker gets loose on the high side, now he was one of the drivers that didn't come down pit road. But, whoa, there he is, bouncing off the nose of the 88 of Troy Thomas. That's not going to make Thomas very happy.
No, it's not. No, that whole front clip on that 88 car is gone.
How do you feel about Sonic? Sonic, the place to eat, not the hedgehog.
I was about to say, we talking the place to eat or the hedgehog? Food-wise, it's actually pretty good.
I'm such a big fan of their slushies because they have a grape slushie, and I love a good grape slushie. The problem is that if you drink it too fast, you wind up causing such coldness inside the styrofoam cup that now I basically have to wait until it defrosts a little bit.
Yeah, that's the only problem is if it gets too cold, it's more ice than slush.
It's just, and once it defrosts, it'll just be delicious. But right now, it's just a matter of waiting for it. I'm impatient. I'm an American. I want it now.
Isn't that the way it usually goes for fast food, no matter who it is?
That would be correct.
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this 15 car Kinsley Smith. I swear he's changed the paint job up since last time I seen it. It looks like that blue on that car is now more of a color chrome.
Well, let's take a closer look, shall we? So we're going to get zoomed in right here.
Metallic.
It definitely has a little bit of a metallic look to it.
Yeah, because the last time I saw it was more of the regular Napa 15. This definitely has that metallic or chrome look to it, and I'm digging that.
I mean, realistically, I like anything from the DEI days. It just makes me feel like a kid again. When I see that those three stripes down the side, I'm a happy camper.
Right? And I'm just glad Dale Jr. was able to get the licensing for the 8 now away from that wicked witch.
Yeah, now if only she would stop breathing.
Oh, we can only wish another house would fall down and Toto and Dorothy would suffer.
The terrible thing is that it also cuts off from Dale Jr. and Kelly's half-sister, and technically Jeffrey's half-sister too, where there's a whole wealth of talent there, but because Teresa controls all of that, it's just, she's never going to be allowed to be an Earnhardt.
No, unfortunately.
And Taylor has her own career, and she does pretty well with it, but at the same time, I feel like she could use help from her older brother.
And unfortunately, there's that big old wedge that's in between everything, and it's just going to keep her from getting some of the benefits of having a brother like Junior in the business to try to help her out at some point.
Ty Norris claims that the last time that he was around that race shop in Kannapolis, that apparently the day that Teresa Earnhardt locked the doors of DEI, it's exactly the same. Everything's just sitting there.
That would not surprise me because once everything got sold off to Chip Ganassi, she had no interest left in the show.
No, but the question to me becomes, does that make it like an unofficial time capsule?
I would assume so, yes.
I'm always fascinated by, I would love to get into, urban exploration, strap a hard hat on and, go walking through subway tunnels and whatnot. And at the same time, abandoned buildings that are basically left the same, I'm curious to see what they really look like inside.
There's a lot of those buildings that would be amazing to take a look at and see what's left inside of them. As Kinsley Smith pulls everybody out of turn 2 on this restart.
Smith has been strong all season long, and this is why he's got that purple highlight over his name as he's here in the playoffs tonight. And, of course, this is the second to last week of this season in the Racers Elite Cup Series. Here's the deal. We go to New Atlanta next week, and that's it. That's all. So everybody tonight, this is kind of a winner-take-all situation. I mean, the last couple of weeks in the top 10, we had next to no playoff drivers, and now they are just littered through here. Only one non-playoff driver sits outside the top 10, and that's Dennis Kane, way back there in 13th position. And I say way back because we only started with 15 cars tonight.
Yeah, and to see all the playoff drivers up here now, it's showing exactly why these guys are where they are in the playoffs, especially with Kensley Smith, because the races I've been here for Racers Elite, Kensley has just been on his game every chance I've seen him. So it doesn't surprise me, honestly, to see him up front here with Truth Hoke and Brandon Zimmerman rounding out the podium. These are your strongest guys you're going to have to go through to get the championship.
Kensley Smith leads this race here on lap number 38, just about a quarter of the way through. And, we see him here running in 5th position in our point standings. Now, he's got to finish ahead of Ira Kohlhaas, Brandon Honeycutt, Alex Teft, and Brandon Zimmerman. I mean, right now he's technically ahead of Brandon Zimmerman. Kohlhaas missing, actually both Kohlhaases, Sam and Ira, missing from our standings tonight. Alex Teft, I mean, both Teft brothers are here, but, running slightly further back as Andrew Teft runs the 98 in 5th position, Alex Teft in the 43 back in 9th. So there's a lot of potential here for Kensley Smith to make some hay in the Hawkeye State.
Yeah, easily. And if he's able to pull off the win here, something tells me he's going to be leapfrogging a few of these guys getting ready to head into Atlanta next week to, whoa! Easy there, Chief.
Wow. What a save.
Well, he might give up the lead, but at least he didn't give up the car.
No, he just wiggled it just a little bit, as they say, as now he's side by side with Truth Hoke. He slides in behind Hoke now, who drives the number 59 Wrangler machine. And, I feel like Wrangler doesn't get enough credit in NASCAR.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, look at the people that have been with Wrangler, especially 80s through. And, of course, the first two names that come to mind, Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd.
Yeah, I mean, if you look around, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I like a good pair of Wrangler jeans. That's my preferred brand. I suffer from a disease called Nasitol, and they're the only ones that stay up because I've got a straight line from my shoulders to my ankles.
Oh, that sounds a lot like what Hank Hill suffers from.
Jacob Plank running back in 7th position right now. Kensley Smith leads the way once again. He's already jumped back out to a half-second lead over Brandon Zimmerman. Truth Hoke side by side battling it out with Zimmerman. So Kensley Smith recovers nicely and puts a half-second between himself and Truth Hoke. A little bit closer of a battle now as Andrew Teft looks to the rear of Brandon Zimmerman, and he already wants to dive underneath and try to find some kind of way to rotate the 98 McDonald's machine underneath that Planet Fitness. This just seems to be a battle of wills. I mean, on one hand, you've got Planet Fitness. It's healthy. It's good for you to go to the gym. On the other hand, you have McDonald's.
Yeah, and right now, Planet Fitness just got crossed up and is going to start sliding backwards.
Well, that's the no judgment zone. We don't want to make fun of him for doing that. So, obviously, McDonald's wins out as it always does. Home of the Big Mac, invented in Unionville, Pennsylvania. Jacob Plank right now runs in 6th position. We're starting to see him recover some as he's now up 7 positions after qualifying in 13th. Here at Iowa Speedway, Dave Regal and Shane Lake with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't done so to this point in the season, make sure that you get yourself all signed in here and subscribe. Turn on those bell notifications. Jason's mom here cheering on the 57.
I'm going to tell you right now, the one thing I'm noticing, especially now once the tires are starting to get a little bit worn out. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Easy, big fella. Big checkup in the rear. Oh, my. That should have been the 5.
It was.
As we talked about Jason Bottoms, he gets himself all kinds of loose. Let's just see what seems to be the trouble, officer. What seems to be the trouble, as we're first going to take a look at Alan Wild. Alan Wild just in front of the 13. That's Brandon Honeycutt. Wow. Alan Wild went to lock him up, and does he? Whoa. Any more close, and he would have been into that non-safer barrier.
It is a good thing Iowa's got that little quarter-mile track down there because he needed that.
Yeah, he went to avoid the 5, and thank God he did, as we're going to look here at the 5. And there was Jason And look, Jason got loose coming out of 4, collected the car. Nobody else hit him. No harm, no foul. But we find ourselves under caution now. For the 4th time tonight, Bottoms is going to slide in here in 9th position. Truth Hoke and Brandon Honeycutt staying out after they were 2 of the drivers that came in on lap 21. Alan Bergen doing the same, as he's going to creep up here to the rear end of Curtis Ecker, who last came down on 31. Kensley Smith, Andrew Teft, and the rest of the gang all coming down pit road. Let's see where Kensley Smith comes out, as he's got to readjust himself in the pit box. That's going to cost him a second or so, as the rest of the field is now back here salivating, hoping to beat him off of pit road.
Yeah, unfortunately, backing up in your pit stall, even if it's like 3 or 4 feet, will still cost you a little bit of time. So it looks like Teft will be the first one to beat him off pit road.
Yeah, Andrew Teft just went scurrying on past Kensley Smith. So now it's going to be Hoke, Honeycutt, Ecker, Bergen, and Teft, your top 5, as Alan Bergen taking a break from his sim racing media duties tonight and deciding to crawl behind the wheel. It's ill-advised, but what can I say? The kid doesn't listen.
Well, you know, people think they know what they're doing, and unfortunately, we have to be the ones to show them later on. You don't know a damn thing in the first place.
Why do you think I sit here? I was consistently finishing 21st, 22nd. It was time.
Well, that's why I've gone to more testing when it comes down to actually building setups more than racing, because, frankly, it's what I'm better at than it seems like driving right about now.
Well, you know, the other thing is I used to spend a lot of time in the public forums and the public servers, and it was frustrating. It was incredibly frustrating, and it doesn't give you an ability to get better. It just simply improves your stats. I got the wheel and pedals out a couple of weeks ago and gave it a shot, thought I was going to be all right. It was during the Michigan week, and I was okay in the trucks, but that was about it.
Yeah, I had a lot of bad luck towards them. Talladega, Texas, Bristol, Martinsville. Unfortunately, I had a little bit of bad luck, but, you know, that's just the nature of the beast when it comes down to things. And then I tried to get ready to qualify for Indy, and for some doggone reason, it takes forever and a day to load into an Indy 500 server, and I just said, screw it. So I just started testing the setup for everybody else to work with.
Maybe it was slow because it was trying to give you one more chance to reconsider your thought process.
I think I reconsidered, right, to be honest with you.
52 laps in the books. We're making good time tonight, just a half hour through this race already. I mean, to me, that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be on pace for just a shade over an hour and a half to get 160 laps in, so this race will click by. I mean, again, with it being technically a short track, even though it's close enough to a mile, it'll start clicking off relatively quick if we get some good green flag runs.
Well, and that's something that this league prides itself in. The amount of green flag racing that I've seen here is second to none. As Truth Hoke hits the Geico restart zone and we go back underway.
And he has done checked out from everybody. Looks like he's got Honeycutt by a good 2.5, 3/10 of a second.
Yeah, and he's on 21. He's on, tires that are almost double what everybody else is. In fact, let's take a quick look here. He's on 31 lap old tires. Curtis Ecker on 21 lap old tires, and then everybody else on freshies.
That's going to be the big thing with Iowa is track position. You can actually hold it pretty well once the tires equalize in wear, because the fresh tires are going to be good for 10, 15 laps, and they're going to start dropping off. But the older tires, once you start finding where your car is comfortable with them, you're going to be clicking laps off around the same speed as those guys with fresher tires are on around you.
Well, as we look here, I mean, already Brandon Honeycutt's starting to close in just 500th of a second faster than, or slower, I'm sorry, than Truth Hoke. But we're going to start to see Brandon Honeycutt close that distance now between himself, and all of a sudden, there he is, as now Truth Hoke under assault from the 13.
Yeah, trying to make the inside work, but again, the problem trying to make the inside work, if you're trying to make that pass in turn 1, are those bumps in the middle of 1 and 2, and they will upset the car in a massive way.
56 laps in the books here. Jason Bottoms registering another crash. Let's see what happened here. As we stay green flag racing, that's a good sign, as we're going to watch the rear end of this thing step out again. Here it goes. Whoa! Right in front of the 43 of Alex Teft. He locks him up and just nosed himself into the wall.
Yeah, that's going to hurt the front suspension on that car. But somehow he keeps it out.
Some of these drive, well, I mean, you have to remember that this league does offer a fast repair. So as long as you can get down there, hit that fast repair, get all that taken care of right, quick, fast, and in a hurry, you're good to go. But Troy Thomas now crashing and going off track. Let's take a peek here and see what happened with him in the 88. As once again, there's the rear end of the 88 stepping out. He gets down here almost like he's making it onto pit road, misses the pit road entrance. That'll keep him from getting the black flag, and then just coming to a gentle rest as he goes through the grass and goes back out to the apron. Wow, contact between the 15 and the 59.
Oh, Hoke with a save.
Let's see if we can go back and take a peek at this one. Well, that's not a real good. That's not a real good look. Let's see if I can get back just a little bit further, because this kind of begs to look at it a little closer here as we go back to the live stream here.
I see exactly what happened with the 59. He tried to cross over the 35, and it just crossed too much.
Yeah, here it is. As here comes the 59, we come through the front stretch. The 59 slides in front of the 15. Oh, there was no contact. None at all.
Nope. 59 just got loose on that crossover. And it sounds like you got more tires squealing in the back. And that's the thing about Iowa is once the tires get a little old, the car will get very upset very quick.
Yeah, you don't think his cars as being temperamental because they're inanimate objects for the most part, but they do get touchy. That's for sure. As your new race leader, Jacob Plank, starts to gap Kensley Smith by almost a full second here. We're flirting with 9/10 as Brandon Honeycutt slides back through the standings. He's in 8th now. It almost looks like maybe he had gone off track.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And there he is. You can't go that way.
I think he was the one that I heard kind of squealing the tires when we were coming back live.
Well, that's not going to be good, as here we are under caution. Let's start here with Brandon Honeycutt and see if maybe we can find out what was the cause here. Once again, out of 4. That just seems to be Calamity Corner tonight, but at least Honeycutt was able to keep it straight here on the small track.
Yeah, the 43 spun around in sympathy, it looks like.
Well, you know where sympathy lays in the dictionary. As Alex Teft here in the 43, we see him in that blue and white machine right in front of you folks, as Teft just, almost the same thing.
Yeah. And again, that's the thing with Iowa is once the tires get a little bit of age on them, the car picks up that loose tendency.
Loose as a goose here on lap number 64. Jacob Plank cycles to be your race leader. He last came down on lap 49, as did Kensley Smith, Andrew Teft, Brandon Zimmerman, and Alan Wild. Now, Curtis Eckert, Dennis Kane, Truth Hoke, Alan Bergen, Alex Teft, Jason Bottoms, and Troy Thomas all come down. Brandon Honeycutt, who last came down on lap number 21, he stays out. And Kirby Wainscott, he stays out after coming down on 49.
You know, if cars truly were inanimate objects, why would we actually name them?
That's a good one. Quite
I mean,
personally, I grew up with Thomas the Tank Engine, so I believe they all have personalities and talk to one another.
I mean, look at some of the names of the greatest stock cars we had out there. We had Blacker, that's currently sitting in Hendrick Motorsports. Bobby Hamilton Racing with their truck, the Freak. There's so many other great vehicles that had, iconic names out there. They developed their own personality through time. Even crew chiefs and drivers say, yeah, this car's got a personality about it.
I agree. That T-Rex car.
Oh, T-Rex was just nasty about it.
I love hearing the stories that some of the old crew chiefs will tell and some of the old drivers will tell about how they quote-unquote cheated up the car. First of all, it wasn't cheating then because they hadn't written those rules. They simply found creative engineering ways to have an edge over the other drivers. And of course, once they were caught having that creative edge, then there was a rule. But, so it technically wasn't cheating. There was just no rule.
Yeah, and I mean, we can go back even into the early 90s because there's a story I remember, I think Andy Petrie was telling it on the Dale Jr. Download, when he was working with Harry Gant at the time. No, actually, this was back when they had a movable spoiler on the back of the car.
The spoiler with the button that made it go up and down.
Yep. It's innovation like that we have to sit back and actually say, well, damn, why didn't other people come up with this? Oh, that's true.
And by the way, the reason that I said the Buick thing was that the Buick or the controller that they used to make the spoiler go up and down was from the radio antenna for a Buick.
Yeah. It's crazy how they can come up with this stuff. As we getting ready to come down to the Geico restart zone, Jacob Plank and Kensley Smith sitting on the front row. Andrew Teff, Brandon Zimmerman, row number 2. Alan Wild and Kirby Wainscott, row number 3. Pace car makes that dead left turn. The button is in Jacob Plank's hand, and he takes him down extremely slow and then gets on it, backing the field up a little bit. That's intriguing.
Well, when you're able to back the field up and then you're the only one in control of everything else, it gives you a little bit of an edge to try to get that jump, as he does now, 2/10 over Kensley Smith.
Yeah, Kensley's looking like he's trying to get the middle groove working as Jacob's still trying to work the bottom. I'm interested to see how Jacob's going to try to keep that bottom groove working because it's bitten a lot of cars early on this race.
Well, yeah, that bottom groove just seems to be absolutely abusing these tires, and I think that's what we're running into more than anything. Jacob Plank leading Kensley Smith now, as Kensley Smith has now taken about a half lane higher, and we're starting to see him close in as we look at that lap time data here. And basically, for the last couple of laps, Smith was just a little bit faster, but here he is now catching up on 69 to Jacob Plank.
Yeah, and the difference is the 15's not running over those bumps as we've got another caution out. And it looks like it might be Kirby Wainscott because I saw him dropping down through the graphic a little bit.
Well, we're going to have to find out here as we run around. Let's see what happened perhaps with Wainscott. They went 3 wide. There's the 19 of Curtis Ecker coming down toward the 59 of Truth Hoke. And somebody just shot across the racetrack in front of them. Yeah. And it's the 5. That's Jason Bottoms over here. Let me run this back and see if we can see what happened with Jason Bottoms, because I don't think that's going to make him very happy at all, as he has had some really rough luck here tonight.
He was loose on entry, hit the bumps, and the car kicked out from underneath him. And kapow, goes the nose.
Well, and I saw those sparks come out just as he went from the racing surface down to the apron. So he was definitely pointed all but sideways on the racetrack.
Yeah, and I think that's going to really start hurting the performance of that car now. As it looks like Troy Thomas and Jason Bottoms are both down pit road, either to fix damage or get a fresh set of stickers on those cars. And how about Jacob Plank currently leading still, up 12 positions from where he started this race? That is impressive, especially around a track like this.
Well, and here we are again, keeping with that brand where it's a non-playoff driver leading the race.
There's always going to be one monkey wrench thrown at these guys, and right now, Jacob Plank is that monkey wrench for these playoff drivers.
I'd like to complain about the paper straws that companies are now using because my paper straw has completely deteriorated and it makes it almost impossible to drink a slushie. Thank you, Sonic.
Oh, yeah. Now we can add that to the list. Add that to the list of things we're going to talk about today's show. Paper straws being a problem.
Look, I'm telling you right now, I'm sitting here enjoying my little slushie, and next thing you know, I've got nothing coming through the straw because the straw was no more. Thank goodness for green energy, because I know that my one straw here in southeastern Pennsylvania is going to save the friggin' world.
I got nowhere to go with that. I really don't. Ugh. Just love things like that.
I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not.
We don't have enough time this race to get into it. Maybe if we do another 600
I will
miler.
get fired if I say what's rattling through my brain right now. I will say this. If you've seen the lady who's the vegan on TikTok who sings at you, "Why aren't you vegan yet?" Because I like cows and pigs and chicken wings, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I am the guy who likes cows and pigs and chicken wings. But I'll tell you this. How could, nope, gonna leave it alone. Just go find her. It's like the vegan teacher or something on the old TikTok there. Check it out. Look at some of the logic, and it is the most convoluted, contradictory, hypocritical logic on the planet.
Yeah, that's like I said, we don't have enough laps in this race to discuss that.
No, and I don't have enough job security.
Nope, I ain't touching that with a 10-foot pole, even if I tried. Yeah, and it looks like Kinsley Smith, again, is starting to work that groove about a half a lane to a full lane up above what Jacob Plank is driving. But when Jacob comes off of that corner, the 15 just gets in that wash and ends up not being able to do much. As here comes the crossover move. It looks like Kinsley Smith is going to clear Jacob coming out of turn 4. Yeah, he just barely clears him and takes the lead back over.
Little line dance and do-si-do from Kinsley Smith here on lap number 77. Nearing the halfway point of this race as we take a look back at Alex Teft in the 43. He's just trying to get around Truth Hoke in the 59. Now, Truth Hoke is taking this lower line, and we've already identified the fact that there's more speed locked up in that middle groove. Not necessarily the high groove, but the middle for sure. As now we see Kinsley Smith sling himself out to the wall. That gives him a little bit more momentum as he's going to try to continue using this mid-groove to get around Truth Hoke.
Yeah, and it looks like the 65's having a problem. I don't know what happened to him, but he's falling off like a rock right now.
Nobody likes to be that guy, that's for sure, as we do take a look back here. And it just seems like maybe he has burned some stuff up after coming down to lap 49.
Well, I'm not sure if he burned anything up or if the car got away from him and took him until now to actually catch it, but he dropped like a rock out of the top 5.
Alan Wild works the high side of Andrew Teft, but Teft is ready to assault that left side of the 33. Jacob Plank securely right now in second position with a 1.9 second lead over Alan Wild. So this battle here is where it's at for the time being, as now Truth Hoke works over top of the 98. Andrew Teft trying to hold on to fourth position, can't do it right now, as he now falls behind Truth Hoke in the 59.
Yeah, and again, that's the difference with these lines here at Iowa. That middle and top groove are going to be where you're going to see a lot of passes made because they're able to keep the wheel a little bit more open, whereas everyone on the inside has to pinch the car down more, losing momentum. You watch any Xfinity Series race or even the old truck races here, that middle groove was prominent in all the events at this point.
Well, you know, and I feel like it's appropriate that all three series do come to each track. I mean, you know, to me, to some degree, it kind of stinks that the trucks don't make a second run at Talladega, you know, or that, you know, they don't all come to Iowa at the same time. Or in the event of this weekend, the Xfinity Series goes to Portland, which isn't even on iRacing, as now Kensley's... Oh! Oh, good Lord, the humanity. Here's Kensley Smith, and there goes the rear end of Kensley Smith. The 35 gets around, and oh, this is the end for him. He's a sitting duck.
And he was a duck on its side. That car is going to be...
Thank God for the fast repair.
Yeah, because he's going to need it.
Let's take one more look at this from the gyro cam. If your motions, if you have a predisposition for motion sickness, look away from your screen. As here he goes sideways, catches it. He's okay. He's okay. He comes to a rest, and nope.
What gets me is the fact he lost it so early in the corner, too. It's like he was loose at the moment he turned the wheel in to try to make the corner.
He may have locked a wheel up and just kept it moving that way.
Yeah, I mean, wheel hop is a thing with these cars, the way the brake package is.
Well, and the way that these brake packages are, plus the independent suspension, once you get one wheel off the ground, you think the other three are going to hold you, but what it really does is slams that one corner back onto the asphalt.
Yeah, it looks like Truth Hoke coming off a pit road. Looks like all he did was repair some damage.
Hit the fast repair, keep it moving. Hit the fast repair, keep it moving. Now, Kensley Smith, down pit road, he's already off, so obviously he has hit the fast repair and decided to burn it here, as we are just past the halfway point here in the Racers Elite Cup Series action at Iowa Speedway. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight on the YouTube.com live chat. Of course, it says, let's see, Jason Bottom's mom here says, man, I can hardly breathe watching this boy drive. Yeah, we have the same problem sometimes.
Yeah, true.
Well, right now, since we are just past the halfway point, we're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal, he's Shane Lake, and this is the Racers Elite Cup Series.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside.
outside. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down at the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome back to Iowa Speedway, where it is pandemonium in the ring, Shane.
Yeah, I was watching this as we were in break, and this is definitely going to shake up the playoff picture. Sure.
I mean, Kensley Smith just used his fast repair, and watch him here in the 15 as they start wrecking in front of him. Whoa, there goes the 43. Snaps right and just collects Kensley Smith. Let's see if we can get here to the 15. Now, that was Alex Teft in the 43.
Well, I was keeping my eye on Jason Bottoms because he was loose to begin with coming off. But again, it's the nature of this track with the bottom groove just not having any grip. Alex Teft ends up breaking his tail down there and takes out a good chunk of cars with him.
Kensley Smith is not happy as he just angrily gassed it again. After burning that fast repair, it leaves Jacob Plank here in your race lead ahead of Dennis Kane, Truth Hoke, and Alan Wild. Now we're starting to see some of the similar patterns that we have over the last 3 weeks in the playoffs, where there's now four non-playoff drivers in the top 10.
Yeah, and again, this is what's going to shake up the playoff picture because Kensley Smith had a great car early this race. And now, unfortunately, it looks like that one's going to end up in the scrap heap.
It'll definitely wind up nose down somewhere outside of Mooresville, North Carolina.
I think Junior might call him to try to put that one in the graveyard.
That's another thing that race car drivers do that just fascinates me.
What's that?
Create a graveyard of cars. Like, to see where they have some of this stuff, like, stuck into the mud. It's like they dig a little bit of a hole, they put the nose in the ground, and then basically secure it with dirt is just interesting.
Well, some of them do that, and yet again, you look at Junior's graveyard. He's got so many cars hidden in the woods and just spread out throughout everything that really aren't anchored down, that are just kind of getting that patina effect over time.
I've always said that NASCAR takes care of their history better than anybody, even when you leave it in the backyard to rust.
Yeah.
Of course, the other interesting thing to that would be, now as we've gotten into these aluminum bodies and carbon fiber and so on and so forth, they're not going to rust. They're literally embalmed forever.
Yeah, and that just preserves the cars that much longer. I mean, you could probably take the whole side off this car, leave it outside for decades, and it'll still end up having its shape.
A little bit of wax, a little bit of polish, and that thing will shine right back up. 93 laps in the books here at Iowa Speedway. Jacob Plank, Dennis Kane, Truth Hoke, Alan Wild, Brandon Zimmerman, Andrew Teft, Brandon Honeycutt, Curtis Ecker, Alan Bergen, and Troy Thomas, your top 10. I can only imagine what's going through some of these drivers' minds right now as just 5 playoff drivers sit inside the top 10.
If I was those 5 playoff drivers, I'd be very cautious right now, especially with the bottom of the track not having any grip. As it looks like Jacob Plank once again waits till they get basically out of the box to fire off.
Riding along with Jacob Plank now, looking at the rest of the field coming in behind him, Truth Hoke is just not able to keep up with him as we work lap number 94. Truth Hoke actually has more of a challenge from Dennis Kane, who rides that high line. Jacob Plank seems to be the only driver that can make the inside line work for him as he fires off out of turn 4 and now gains to 3/4 of a second over Hoke.
Yeah, and right now that's what Jacob Plank wants to see in his rearview mirror is Hoke and Kane going at it so he can try to get out of there and preserve what little bit of tire he has left before next pit stop.
Brandon Zimmerman in the 65. He looks to the inside of Alan Wild, but Wild finds some speed there in the middle of the racetrack, so Wild's going to stay where he is for the time being. Jacob Plank just laid down fast time at 23.46 seconds in the 35.
Well, that means he's saved a little something with those tires if he's running fast laps like that and pulling away from everybody. But again, it also helps when he's got people that are battling behind him, as it looks like he's going to come up on lap traffic with Jason Bottoms in that 5 directly in front of him.
13 laps on these tires for Jacob Plank. It's almost like they're just hitting their prime spot here. 32 laps for Dennis Kane in the 4 machine. And then we get back a little bit further, and Ecker, Honeycutt, Thomas, and Wayne Scott. I almost said Thomas Wayne, but that's Bruce Wayne's dad. It almost looks like from 7th down to 10th that they all came down between lap 80 and, lap 90. 84 and 90.
Yeah, and it just seems like they're not really going anywhere, which is a little on the surprising side. You'd figure with fresh tires they'd be able to carve up through the field, but unfortunately for them, it just doesn't seem like it's working out.
No, in fact, it's becoming more and more evident that this is going to be an uphill battle for the Fresh Tire Brigade, as nearly making contact as the 33 and the 59, as Truth Hoke slides now behind Dennis Kane. That enables Kane to get around him with relative ease here on lap number 99, just approaching that century mark as Jacob Plank leads this piece here on the... Whoa, there goes the 4. Oh, catches Andrew Teft. He comes across the racetrack and hits everything except for the man in the stand.
Once again, Iowa bites another car. And it looks like it's the same issue, lack of grip.
9 cautions tonight. This is unheard of in this league.
Yeah, the 4 looks like he just broke loose, but he was also up in the higher groove where there's, again, not a whole lot of grip. And unfortunately, the back end started to swing around, and he just couldn't catch it and takes the 98 with him.
Now we can look to see whether or not Jacob Plank comes down. Now, Jacob Plank last was down on lap 83. In fact, let's take a look at the pit strategy. Looks like he's been down 3 times already, which leaves 2 sets of tires. Actually, he started with 5, so that's 5, 4, 3, 2. He's got 1 set of tires. I think we're going to see him stay out. Ecker obviously stays out. So, at least the top 4, I think we're going to see them stay out for this time being.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because, honestly, it's going to become a battle of track position now because as late in this race as everything is going, these guys are taking notes in their head with what the tires are doing and the fact that guys with fresher tires are still stuck behind a lot of these older tired cars. They need to be able to focus on, okay, now we can drive away, maybe conserve a little bit and keep a set or 2 for, late race run.
Andrew Teft, Dennis Kane, Kensley Smith, and Jason Bottoms all down pit road. It's going to leave Alan Bergen up in 9th position. Kirby Wainscott shuffles to 8th. Troy Thomas, Brandon Honeycutt, Curtis Ecker, Brandon Zimmerman, Truth Hoke, Alan Wild, and Jacob Plank make up your top 10. As Kensley Smith, we're waiting to see if he can get the 15 off of pit road, but he may be staying down there for some pit repair after this latest incident that he had.
Yeah, that car was hurt in that last big wreck he was in, and I don't know if that thing's going to be able to be recovered anytime soon.
I mean, you can pretty much bet dollars to donuts that he's not going to be resurrected without a miracle.
Yeah, I think Methuselah's unavailable right now.
Jacob Plank, with control of the field, hides just behind the iRacing.com pace car. The lights are still on the iRacing.com pace car. Let's see if we can get a hold of Jacob if I look for him here in our Discord channel.
He's down in the free agent driver list. There you go.
Hey, Jacob, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do. You got me?
Yeah, man. Listen, I mean, here you are leading this race on 103. You're basically in a sea of playoff drivers in the top 10. What's the strategy and what's the move here with 57 to go?
I think the strategy here is to get another set of tires here in a couple laps if another caution comes out, and then just be aware of the guys around me. Everyone's been racing really, really clean so far, and it is definitely a sketchy setup. So just kind of on pins and needles here, and hopefully we can end this one where we are right now.
Yeah, that was the other question that I had. It seems like the setup is really sloppy tonight. I mean, it seems like, turn 4 is Calamity Corner. What have you been doing to compensate for that looseness coming out of 4?
Just been really rolling the corner, just waiting to feel when the car gets itself planted and where it wants to be is when I start getting on the throttle a little bit, and it is definitely very sketchy.
All right, my man. Well, listen, congratulations on leading the race to this point. Good luck the rest of the way, and hey, listen, maybe we're going to see you on the other side here on that podium.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks. Hopefully we'll see you on that podium.
Yeah, and he's definitely got a point when it comes down to the way this car is handling, because, again, the tires are the biggest story, especially if you're trying to get that bottom to roll, because it's going to chew everything up because of how abrasive it is and how the bumps are with this track. So he's got to be careful running that bottom as much as he is, but at the same token, he's been able to make it work. So maybe he's doing something everyone else doesn't have an ability to do.
Well, letting it roll through the center is definitely the patient way to get around here. So obviously patience is paying off once again on the iRacing servers. There's a surprise, as we've dealt so many times with people getting impatient at the wrong moment.
You're not wrong, and that's what usually causes the big wrecks. Is the iRacing.com pace car has the lights out. Jacob Plank's going to have his foot on the throttle here momentarily, and we're going to get back to racing here in Iowa. And it looks like Jason's going to wait again deep in the box and fires off. And he's going to take Truth Hoke with him on the bottom. They're both going to clear Alan Wood in the 33. And it looks like Jacob's going to try to make that bottom work again as Truth's trying to look to the outside. Coming off of turn 2, and the door will get closed.
Jacob Plank getting the jump over Truth Hoke while Alan Wild rides behind and on the high side. Alan Wild's made the high side work all night long. Obviously, he's found a way to keep the car feeling neutral and more comfortable for himself. And that's what a lot of these guys are trying to find. Obviously, Jacob simply likes a looser ride, which is why he's comfortable down there on the bottom. And I think that's something that also speaks to a lot of the driving styles, or at least a lot of the ways that these cars are set up, because it's not going to be custom tailored to your driving style. So you have to find a place that's comfortable to keep that car, feeling not too tight, not too loose, just right. It's like Goldilocks.
I equate fixed setup racing more along the lines of like iRock. And the fact is, with all those cars set up similar, it took the driver to figure out how to make the car work for them with whatever minor adjustments they were able to have. And again, with it being a fixed setup, move a little bit of bias to the back to loosen the car up a little bit, maybe offset the wheel a little bit so you can have a little bit more crank in it through the middle of the corner. Other than that, you got to rely on your driving style for this car to try to make it work.
Well, you know, I heard somebody a couple of weeks ago. In fact,
Whoa, 59 going
that's the
sideways.
59. Yep. I heard somebody, you know, a couple of weeks ago talk about, you know, the way that these next-gen cars are and the rules package that NASCAR has installed for them, that, oh, these cars are like iRock. But, you know, for all of the people that are complaining about the cars and the chassis and not being able to make some of the changes that they used to be able to make to these cars, there's a lot more interest, at least here on the iRacing.com servers, for the fixed setup. So I feel like if NASCAR really tried to come back to an iRock situation, they would probably have some incredibly, high ratings, especially when you think about how many people are drawn to the fixed setup leagues.
Yeah, because again, with the fixed setup leagues, you only have to worry about one thing, and that's really driving the car. With the open setups, you have to worry about making sure your setup is dialed in the entire time, adjusting it in case, the weather's a little bit warmer or a little bit cooler, track temperature's a little bit higher or lower. There's too many variables in an open setup. Fixed setup, you can just go in and just drive the thing.
Well, and there was last year or 2 years ago when they brought the next-gen car out, there was actually a group of drivers in the SNN League that found basically a way to cheat the car. There was a problem with the algorithm that the setup shop was using in the garage, and they were basically able to make, even though that the car looked like it was above the asphalt, because of the adjustments that they were making to the suspension, they basically had the car plowing. And they were able to have crazy amounts of downforce and were winning every race for like 3 or 4 weeks. And nobody in the league knew this. Nobody knew what was going on. And it wasn't until iRacing fixed it and all of a sudden those guys came, whoa, here goes the 98 sideways after checking up. Looks like Jason Bottom's having himself another to-do here on lap 114. Here's Bottoms in the 5.
Yeah, it looked like he almost got the 15 involved, too.
Wow.
That looked like it's going to be a race.
And pop goes the engine.
Yeah. And the only reason the 98 got crossed up was he was trying to stay off the 15.
I don't blame him.
Nope. Same here.
But so when they figured, when the league figured out, or by the time the league figured out that, this is what they had done to the setups, because, somebody couldn't keep their mouth shut. iRacing had figured it out too, because enough people started writing into iRacing like, hey, something's wrong here. iRacing must have looked it up and been like, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
Well, it also doesn't help they were doing the same thing in the Coke series, because I don't know how many races I watched when these cars first came out with the Coke series at the front end. Looked like it was sky high, but yet again, the thing was so far planted speed-wise, it was ridiculous.
And, again, that's just being a creative engineer.
Yeah, and then, again, it leads back to the whole rule book, i.e. T-Rex. Yeah, it ain't illegal now, but by tomorrow it's going to be.
That's exactly right. Alan Wild, our race leader, he's going to be followed by Curtis Ecker out of South Williamsport, Pennsylvania, driving the number 19 Coca-Cola machine. Elizabeth, Tennessee's very own Brandon Honeycutt running in third, with Dennis Kane out of Detroit, Michigan, running in fourth. Andrew Teft out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island, runs fifth, with Kirby Wainscott. Alan Bergen from St. Louis, Missouri, home of the St. Louis Cardinals, who I will see Saturday night at Citizens Bank Park here in Philadelphia. And Brandon Zimmerman and Alex Teft rounding out your top 10. I have been ribbing Alan gently. I don't want to hurt his feelings. I know that he's a delicate flower. But I've been ribbing him gently because I'll get to see his Cardinals play my Phillies on Saturday night.
Yeah, well, you'll be able to rib him a little bit more when Philadelphia ends up taking St. Louis out back of the woodshed.
It's entirely possible. I am always fascinated when the Phillies find a new way to win. They've, for years, the Phillies have shown me new ways to lose.
I know that feeling. Look at what the Red Sox have done.
Yeah, how are things working out with Alex Cora? You like having the TV guy in the dugout?
Talk to me at the end of the year.
There's something to be said about Alex Cora and Booney being back in the dugout and coming from the TV booth to go to a major league job. I've always thought that baseball is very unique at all levels because whether you are a player, a coach, a broadcaster, a front office member, most of them have to come through the minor leagues. The broadcasters all started single and double A. I mean, that's where Joe Buck started riding the bus in single A baseball for the St. Louis Cardinals organization.
Yep.
Players, of course, start in the minors. Coaches come from the minors. But there they grab Alex Cora and Aaron Boone and shove them right in the two biggest baseball towns in the United States.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it really has not worked out well.
No, but, Brian Cashman in New York continues to think that this is going to be the thing. By the way, thanks for Dave Dombrowski. We appreciate him in Philadelphia.
Oh, I think something just made a hard left-hand turn, and we got a green flag. And Alan Wild is gone.
What's his name doing that used to be your GM that then went to Chicago? I just forgot his name off the top of my head. Theo Epstein. What's he doing? Is he working?
I'm not sure.
No, 3 wide. Alan Bergen splits the middle. He's suddenly the meat in the sandwich.
I
65. They're going to take him 3 wide again.
Yeah, and I think Alan.
This is not recommended. Alan Bergen hit abort.
Get out of it. Get out of it, dude.
So he does it again once more. Alan, it's the red button. Hit the red button.
You know that pedal in the middle? Use that and get out of it.
Good Lord. Anyway, what's Theo Epstein doing with himself these days?
I'm not 100%. Live research.
Selling cars at O'Shea Chevrolet?
Actually, as far as I can tell,
Alan Wild with a 0.2 of a second lead over Brandon Honeycutt. He's got Curtis Ecker behind him. A close battle starting to break out now as former race leader Jacob Plank is now climbing his way back past Andrew Teft in the 98.
He's making that bottom one work.
He is, and he's been consistently doing it now as we work lap 122.
And to answer the question, Epstein's now in the MLB front office as a consultant.
So he's doing nothing.
Pretty much. I mean, that's what those jobs basically are nowadays. Is jack diddly crap.
Yeah, baseball's version of welfare.
Exactly.
It's kind of like when I see now, and I love Larry. Whoa! Here comes the 19 of Dennis Ecker, Curtis Ecker, right into the side of the 35. This was wild. Let's take a look at this again. Once from high above, here comes Ecker. The car wraps around. He whacks the side of the 35. Oy.
And I think the 19 just got a little too loose off the top groove again. He got it up in the gray, and there's nothing up there.
He said, pop a top again.
Yep, you can see right when that right rear hits that cushion. Good luck.
Oy vey. Let's take another look here at this from Jacob Plank's version.
And
here he comes. Boom.
Pow. Now, Plank does a whale of a job keeping this thing out of the fence.
He does, and I guess if there's any kind of, positive takeaway from that, that's it.
Yeah, but we don't know how beat that right side is, and he's going to come down pit road to take a look at it.
Let's see if he comes down and gets himself that fast repair. 35 to go from Iowa Speedway. Dave Regal and Shane Lake with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth as we work lap 126, and apparently my neighbor really wants to show off their diesel motor.
Don't you just love people like that?
I'm supposed to love everybody. I remind myself that Jesus loves them, and I'm supposed to. He just loves them a heck of a lot more than I do.
Yeah, well, that's why I always say I'm not racist. I hate all, what's equally.
It's called being an equal opportunity offender.
Exactly.
That is direct from the mind of the great one, Ray Regal. The man who spawned me.
Oh. So he's the one I have to blame for being broken 20-odd laps into this race?
My dad, and I love him very much, said that if he would have had his way, I would have been wiped off on the drapes.
Oh.
Just saying. There are days where I wonder if he's serious.
I'm sure more often than not, we hope that he's not.
Well, you know, the old man has spent 66 years on this planet coming up with some of the statements that he has, and quite frankly, I was thinking about putting them in a small pamphlet to hand out at his funeral.
The musings of the departed.
Oh my God, that could be like a new segment during a funeral.
I come up with the weirdest crap when I don't have caffeine in my system.
Look, there's got to be something fun about a funeral that's the first 3 letters in the word.
Oh, true. I mean, that could work. The musings of the departed. Everyone takes a pamphlet, and as the funeral progresses, you know, goes up and says a line or two, gets a few chuckles, and not everyone's crying at the end of it.
You know, a funeral is the only time in someone's life where nobody talks smack. Like, you could be the biggest jerk in the world, and as soon as you're laid out in that box, everybody comes up to the microphone to eulogize you, and they tell you how wonderful you were as a human. Get out. A week ago, you were just burning him in effigy.
I know, right? Now the person's dead. We can't kick him around anymore. Now what? Speaking of kicking around, looks like Alan Wild is about ready to kick around the pace car to try to get this race back going, because we're getting close to money time here.
We're going to go on board for the restart with Alex Teft, who sits right now in 4th position on the outside of the second row. We see Wild take the green flag, and off we go on lap 129.
There we go right now. You can see right off the front end of Alex Teft, the 3 definitive groups here at Iowa, and somehow the 98 of Andrew Teft made that inside line work without breaking the tail end of his car around.
We're going to ride along with Andrew Teft, looking back at his brother Alex in the 43. Alex getting a run out of turn 4, now looking to the high side of his brother as we work lap 130. 30 to go this time at the line, as now the 98 works to the inside of Brandon Honeycutt in the 13.
And it looks like what the 98 is doing is he's about half a groove up off the bottom in 1 and 2, trying to avoid the bumps. As I say that, there he goes.
Well, remember that time that we thought that this was a really good thing?
Yeah, that was about, 100 laps ago?
Well, here we are on lap 130.
Once again,
12 cautions.
Inside line fight another car.
Good Lord.
And we were watching it as it happened. As soon as the back end started bouncing around, I was saying to myself, here we go again.
We're going to watch it again here from inside the cockpit, and we can see him try to make a gentle correction. But to your point from earlier, once these things step out, it's hard to bring them back under control.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he gave it a little too much, and it said, thank you very much, I'm not coming back. Looks like Curtis Ecker and Andrew Teft both come down pit road. It looks like Curtis was missing the front end of his car.
Well, I hope he finds it. It's either, maybe it's a modified race.
It would be one weird-looking modified. I mean, that doesn't exactly look like a Vega or a Pinto to me.
And here come the complaints about the setup.
Why am I not surprised? This thing's too loose. We can't run the bottom. Okay, so try to go about a groove up. You'll be fine.
Yeah, nobody on race radio seems very happy with the performance of this setup.
Oh, it's the nature of the track, unfortunately. I mean, you could try to adjust the car to tighten it up, but then everyone's going to complain about it being too tight. So you try to find a way to loosen it up. Now it's too loose. I mean, take your pick where you want the car.
That's a fair point as we work lap 132, 28 to go. As it looks like Barney up there is giving us the 2 to go signal. The iRacing.com pace car hauls us down on here as a group. Let's see if we can get a hold of Alex Teft here out of Chicken Coop Racing. Hey, Alex, it's Dave and Shane up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, listen, it's been a long night. I mean, 12 cautions. What's been going on here in the cars, and what kind of feedback can you give us from this?
Pretty much these cars are super low to the ground, and if you hit any of the bumps, especially at the high lane and turns 1 and 2, it goes around, whether you want to or not. So it's just been an attrition battle and, hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, it seems like turn 4 has been your calamity corner. What are you doing to compensate for, the rear end of the car stepping out there?
So pretty much the issue is when you let off for somebody getting sideways in front of you, it just really disturbs the balance of the car, and then you end up just spinning out. So the goal is to just have as consistent of a throttle as possible.
Now, I know right now as far as championship point standings go, I mean, you're here, you're in the hunt, and I'm curious, what's going to be, since you're just behind Brandon Zimmerman, is tonight's goal just finish ahead of him, or what's going through your head?
Just finish ahead of him and preferably win, just get those little extra points to carry into next week and hopefully make it, because it's going to be a wild card next week at the, super speedway version of Atlanta.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, good luck the rest of the way. 1 to go here at Iowa. Maybe we're going to see you here on this podium when the checkers fly.
All right, yep. Thank you.
That the voice of Alex Teft, brother of Andrew Teft out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island. As the Teft brothers have been getting around this place with some ease, no major issues for those two. As the iRacing.com pace car makes the hard left turn down pit road. Shane, one more time, Barney waves the green flag.
And Alan Wild's going to lead everybody down into turn 1. Alex Teft is going to try to make that inside line work. Brandon Honeycutt's way up the track. He's going to try to get that run to try to get back alongside the 43, but it looks like Alex Teft's going to close the door, and Alan Wild is looking in the mirror like, boys, you just keep doing that, I'm going to drive away.
And, that's what any driver who's leading a race wants to see. He wants to see those kids fighting in the back of the old station wagon. That way, while those kids are distracted, he gets the chance to just get himself plugged in and start boogieing. And Truth Hoke here trying to do the same thing, working the inside of Jacob Plant in the 35. Now Hoke slings to the outside as Kensley Smith, who spent a lot of time up atop the pile tonight, is now mired back in 6th position.
I thought he would have been done the way that car was destroyed earlier, but he's fighting back, and this is what you need if you're going to win a championship, as it looks like 59 goes sideways again. Can he hang on to it? Yes! You can put it on the board! Yes! You're not wrong.
Gotta love some Hawk Harrelson. As, I had the pleasure of finding... and caution number 13, just kidding.
And it's Alex Teft free falling down the ladder.
Let's see what happened with Alex. And he's not connected. Alex Teft running in P2, just behind Alan Wild. Oh, that has to be a connection. Oh, yeah, because he instantly blinked away.
Yeah.
This is absolutely a connection issue. Let's see if we can go inside the cockpit. And I'll tell you what, that's something that I wish that there was some type of a provision for in iRacing, because to me that's not fair for a driver who experiences some type of, connection issue and then all of a sudden, is wrecked this way. Watch this.
Yeah, Yeah, that's just messed up. There has to be something done with iRacing coding. I mean, I'm sure people have been complaining about it long enough. They can do something, but it's just a matter of implementing it. As it looks like we got a few takers down pit road to get the last set of tires.
Yeah, I don't think he was even close to that 15x Dairy Queen land mark. And we were just talking to him. That pretty much just annihilated his playoff hopes.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to put a dagger in it, I feel. But an earlier point you had dealing with the setups of these cars, I was in a league a couple of years back where we would actually test the setup out. Now, granted, it was 1987 cars, but it can be done for anything, really, where we would take a day or two, test the setup out for the actual race the following week, and actually get it to where we wanted it to drive for everybody. So it's an idea that these guys could do.
That's an idea that any fixed setup league could do, and sometimes I like it when the fixed setup league goes to, like, a Ryko or Buster's Corner or somewhere and has them build them a setup for a race. I mean, don't get me wrong, the iRacing stock setups are still good if the driver's good, but I think that sometimes going to some of those custom setup shops just make things a little bit more fun to watch.
Yeah, the guys at Ryko do a great job. McConey do a great job. Like you said, Buster's. My dude Lee Overton with Overton Speed Shop. Not that I'm saying much because I work for those guys as well, but you know what I'm saying.
Shameless plug.
D-Generation X style. How do you like me now, boys?
Wow, look at you.
I mean, I was testing the Indy 500 setup for him.
You're like Stugatz. You know who Stugatz is?
It rings a bell.
The Dan Levitard show with Stugatz?
Yep.
Yeah, love me some Stugatz. That was definitely a Stugatz kind of move.
Well, I know how to slip things in. What can I say?
Is that what she said? It's like going to the circus and they got those guys that stand there and you're the springboard for the acrobat, and I just went up and spun around in midair for you.
Yeah, you did. Oh. Speaking of beautiful, we got 18. Speaking of beautiful, 18 laps to go this time by.
Yeah, we're finally starting to click some of these laps off, and when we go back green flag racing, it will be 18 to go. 13 cautions in the books tonight. That is unheard of in this league after 142 laps. That's something that I have not seen all season long, and I've been here since week 1.
Yeah, I've been a part of a few races here as Alan Wild is going to bring these guys into the Geico restart zone and takes off. I've been around for a handful of races with these guys, and I think the most cautions I've ever seen out of them has been like 4 or 5, so this is definitely unheard of territory for them.
Alan Wild leads us through turn 2 and down the back chute. Side by side goes the 4 and the 98 as Andrew Teft has used that fast repair and brought it back onto the racetrack. Now, Dennis Kane, we're going to go on board with him now from Detroit, Michigan. As Kane looks here, he's about 0.2 of a second off the bumper of Andrew Teft. And he's got to be a little bit patient, but it's just about time to start trying to push these cars and see what they can do in the late stage of this race.
Yeah, you're going to have to start experimenting with where you know your car is a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more racy than everybody else. Now, I'll tell you right now, what's getting racy is that battle for the lead between Alan Wild and Jacob Plank. And we got Hoke in the grass again.
Truth Hoke doing a little bit of landscaping. I hope they use their Preen lawn care products as Hoke comes out of turn 4. The rear end comes around, and a whole lot of worms just became homeless.
I see what you did there with the Preen. Yes, of course. And Jacob Plank has taken the lead by about 1/10 over Alan Wild.
This could, if this race finishes the way that the rest of them have over the last 3 weeks, this will continue the string of non-playoff drivers winning here during playoff season.
Yeah, well, as we're talking about him, he gets a little bit loose coming off of turn 4, letting Alan Wild try to get that outside run going again. Alan Wild gets a little bit loose off of 2, and that's going to let Jacob Plank spring free.
Alan is wild as we're going to go back here to the 13 car and watch from his perspective to see what's going on. As we go right here to the nose of the 13, we're going to watch the rear end of the 33 rotate through turn 2. As he hits here, you can see that he's fighting that car back down to the bottom of the racetrack, and he can't get there. As he comes into turn 3, now all of a sudden the 33 is able to start getting a little bit closer to the yellow line, but still no one has been able to master getting around this place on the bottom like Jacob Plank.
No, and it looks like the 33 is fighting that tight condition in 1 and 2 a lot worse than everybody else, and that's letting Jacob Plank get away from him because Plank has got that bottom line dialed up in a huge way.
12 laps to go here at Iowa Speedway. Jacob Plank, your race leader. He's followed by fellow non-playoff driver Alan Wild. Then we've got a little knot of playoff drivers. It's Brandon Honeycutt, Kensley Smith, Andrew Tefton, Dennis Kane. The question is, does Kensley Smith have enough to try to get around Honeycutt with just 11 laps left?
I think it's going to be a matter of if Honeycutt ends up making a mistake because that 13 car hasn't been stable the entire race. And outside of a couple of small moments, this 15 car has been a lot better. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets up there, but it's just a matter of getting there is the question.
Kensley Smith is one of those drivers where all season long we've seen him be incredibly disciplined and patient. The 13 of Brandon Honeycutt now looks to the inside of Alan Wild as they go side by side through 3. They roll into 4, and as they come back onto the front stretch, it looks like Brandon Honeycutt not going to be able to seal the deal with getting P2 away from Alan Wild.
Now, Alan got that outside line working, and that's what held up the 13 car because Brandon Honeycutt had to pinch the car down coming off the corner, and Alan was just able to get back on the throttle a lot better and get the rotation off and pull away. And speaking of pulling away, that 35 car is gone.
Yeah, the 35 right now gapping the 33 and the 13 by 1.8 seconds. I mean, that's something that you just simply don't hear of. I mean, it's already 2.05 seconds back to Brandon Honeycutt, so there's a lot of real estate between third and first position, while Kensley Smith is lurking around here like a lion with 7 to go.
Yeah, and it looks like Brandon finally got that run on the bottom, trying to make it work going into turn 1, but Alan, once again, that second groove is what's going to prevail, and he's going to be able to pull Brandon Honeycutt coming off of turn 2, but Honeycutt's going to try to get that run again and throw it to the inside, trying to get around that 33 car.
Looks like Kensley Smith now looks to the inside of Brandon Honeycutt. He sees the opening here. The question is, Shane, does he have enough to try to get around Honeycutt with 5 to go?
The only way he's going to get around him is if these two guys keep battling with the 33 and the 13. And what that's letting happen is Andrew Teft is starting to reel both of these guys in. And this could become a 4-way battle for second as the 33 gets wicked loose off the corner.
The 33 gets loose. That allows Kensley Smith and Brandon Honeycutt to climb up here onto the podium position with 5 laps to go. Jacob Plank has now gone absolutely bonkers up the top here. And let's just take a look at that gap on the left side of your screen. 4 seconds from Plank back to Honeycutt.
Yeah, and that 4 seconds just got erased. And I believe it's because of the 4 car of Dennis Kane.
Yeah, under caution we go as it looks like Dennis Kane registering as having crashed. Let's take a look and see what happened with Kane. Anybody want to guess what happens to the rear end of the 4?
Oh, the 33 was the problem.
Oh, something very wrong here as we're going to run this back even further than I expected. Let's see if we can pull this up just so, as we're going to go to the 33 of Alan Wild. And as I run this just a little bit further back, here we are coming back to the live stream as we watch the 33.
Yep.
That's Alan Wild getting wild as he got bumped into and erased by the 98.
I don't know if there was contact between those two. It looked like the 33 was wicked loose going into the corner. And once again, it just bit when he finally got traction. And next thing you know, you're going head on into the wall.
Well, folks, and that's going to bring up NASCAR overtime. And, of course, what that means is when we go back green flag racing, we're going to have 2 laps to go. We will race around to the white flag. If the caution should come out between the green flag flying and the white flag flying, we will rack them, stack them, and do it all over again. If the white flag flies, the next flag will end the race, whether that flag is yellow or checkered. If the yellow flag flies after the white flag, the field freezes positions, and whoever leads at that moment will be our race winner.
And this was the one thing that 35 car was hoping was not going to happen, because he was gone before that caution hit. He could have cruised to victory. And now he's got 2 playoff contenders breathing, well, 3 playoff contenders breathing down his neck, with Honeycutt, Kensley Smith, and Andrew Taft.
I don't think anybody else has any fresh tires left for a green-white checker, so everybody pretty much set with what they have right now. Jacob Plank, your race leader, Brandon Honeycutt, Kensley Smith, Andrew Taft, Curtis Ecker, Troy Thomas, Truth Hoke, Alan Bergen, Kirby Wainscott, and Dennis Kane. Oddly enough, this could be an opportunity that Alan Bergen needs for one of his best finishes of the season.
Wouldn't that be something if he ends up finishing inside the top 10?
I'm just excited to see him finish with a running engine.
Yeah, how many times has he beat everybody to the beer stand? Now he's actually got a chance to finish a race.
He doesn't even drink good beer. He drinks Anheuser-Busch products.
What do you expect out of someone from St. Louis? That's all they know.
I'd say to keep it classy, but it's St. Louis. There is no keep it classy.
Yeah, well, the Eagles fans can't say much throwing batteries at Santa.
I am not an Eagles fan.
Thank God.
I bleed little blue stars from August through January, and then I'm usually depressed somewhere in and around February.
I've been a Patriots fan, but that was back in the days when we had Bledsoe and Parcells, so don't even think I hopped on the bandwagon because of TB12.
Yeah, thanks for Drew Bledsoe after you gave him to the Cowboys after washing him up in New England. Appreciate that. Such a great idea.
Well, it's not our fault the Jets laid into him and ended up letting Tom Brady excel the way they did.
You know, Tom Brady, and you know, of course, we always have those conversations of who's the GOAT of who's the GOAT of football, so on and so forth. But one of the things that makes Tom Brady so interesting is that he accidentally became the boy king. You know, we sit there and we anoint so many different people over the years. You know, oh, this is going to be the next so and so. This is going to be the next such and such. But Tom Brady did it by accident. Speaking of doing it by accident, Jacob Plank going to have control of the field. As he comes out of turn number 4, he hits the Geico restart zone, still holds the field back, drops it into gear, and away we go. NASCAR overtime is engaged.
And it looks like Plank thought about going, because I saw the nose of the car hike up for a second, then it dropped, then he took off. So I think he tried to stutter step everyone.
And stutter step he did as Jacob Plank now with 0.3 of a second lead over Brandon Honeycutt. Honeycutt not able to keep track of him. The popsicle sticks go down. The white flag is in the air, and we're racing back to checkers.
And Jacob Plank is looking in the rearview mirror at Brandon Honeycutt, and looks like Honeycutt's trying to run the same line, but just doesn't have the drive off the corner, as Jacob Plank's going to come through 3 and 4 one last time with everybody in his rearview mirror.
Jacob Plank leading us out of turn 4. He can see Barney in the stand welcoming him back with the checkered flag. He crosses the start-finish line, and Jacob Plank finishes here at Iowa Speedway ahead of everybody else and captures the checkered flag. 4th week in a row that a non-playoff driver has won in the Racers Elite Cup Series. He's followed on the podium by Kensley Smith and Curtis Ecker. He gets a little congratulatory nudge here from the 15, as that was one heck of a battle.
Fireworks are going off in the background. Jacob Plank put the perfect tire strategy together. And now he ain't going to need these tires anymore, because they're just going to be left on the front straightaway. Don't put it in the wall now, dude. We've had too many guys do that. What an absolute finish for this 35 car. That was
such an impressive finish for the 35.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the strategy playing it off sequence as much as he did this race, and then actually be able to have the tires to survive the end, that was picture perfect strategy. And this thing ain't gonna have anything left by the time he's done with it.
He might not even have gas left.
I wouldn't be worried about the gas. I'd be worried about the fact of having a motor left when this is over, because I think he's about to chuck a couple of rods. And as we're waiting to get everybody here to get some fresh interviews with everybody, I want to thank everybody for tuning in on the youtube.com chat, and wherever you might be, whether it's on TV or on your phones, we thank you guys for joining us tonight. We've got amazing action 6 days out of the week, so make sure you hit that notification bell and hit subscribe to see when we go live, because if you like this, we got a lot more action. We have got a lot more action for you as the week goes on. Oh.
And with us now is race winner Jacob Plank. Hey, Jacob, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Buddy, listen, what a fantastic finish to this race. You were the only driver that was able to make the low line work consistently all night long. What's your secret and what's in the sauce?
I think it was just waiting on the throttle. It's very hard, and sometimes you gotta be very disciplined. But yeah, I think I just kind of like Kevin Harvick would do at Atlanta, just hook the line and just be patient.
Yeah, I mean, patience was a big thing here tonight. I mean, you had a 4-second lead when that final caution came out. How nervous and how puckered did you get when you saw that all of a sudden from 4 seconds you were down to side by side?
Yeah, I definitely knew a caution was probably gonna happen at some point, because that's sometimes my luck. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta hunker down and tighten the belts, and hopefully you get a good restart and you can kind of control things into turn 1 and get cleared off turn 2, and at that point, just kind of set sail.
Well, now you continue the theme here of non-playoff drivers winning at playoff races. What's going to be your mindset going into Atlanta next week?
I have no idea. I'm not the super speedway expert, but I guess just kind of ride in the back for a while, and see how things go and see how it shakes out.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, before we cut you loose tonight, who helps you get it done on the 35, and who do you need to shout out tonight?
I guess just do a shout out to all the guys that have let me into this league to race with everyone. It's been a while since I've been in a good league with good guys at Racy Clean, so just shout out to those guys, and hope to be here for a while.
All right, buddy. Once again, congratulations, and go ahead and celebrate with the old team there.
All right, thanks. Sounds good. See you next week.
Thank you for that. As Shane, I believe you have with you now Kensley Smith down on pit road.
Yeah, I'm down on pit road next to the Napa 15 of Kensley Smith. And Kensley, talk about a crazy race from all perspectives. At one point, you were on your side. How were you able to recover from being basically on the driver's side door to run second at the end of this?
Just trying to stay calm. This setup was super sketchy, so just collecting my marbles and just trying to keep it straight.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of people were having trouble, especially coming off the corners with the loose setup this track seemed to be providing. Any thoughts about going into next weekend at Atlanta?
Pretty much kind of the same deal. Just trying to stay out of trouble, keep the car straight. Just don't put myself in stupid situations, and hopefully just come out, come out getting, just come out of this season getting good finishes.
Yeah, you've definitely had a great car all season long, with Atlanta being the final race for you guys. Is there anybody you want to thank before we catch you loose here on pit road?
Of course, my teammates on Driving Extreme Inc. We're working really good together, bouncing ideas off of each other, and finding a way to all come in top 5, top 10 every race. So working really good together. Of course, you guys at SRM for putting on the broadcast for us, and Andrew for putting on the league, and of course my wife and my daughter for watching all the races and supporting me while I'm doing this.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Enjoy this P2 finish. Kinsley Smith driving the number 15 Napa Camaro. Dave, back to the booth with you.
Thank you, Shane. As always, we appreciate the work that you do down there on pit road. And last but certainly not least, to be interviewed tonight, finishing third on the podium, is Curtis Ecker, driver of the number 19 Coca-Cola machine out of South Williamsport, PA. Curtis, congratulations on finishing P3.
Thank you.
Listen, man, I mean, it was a hard-fought night, but again, 2 out of the 3 drivers on this podium are non-playoff drivers. How do you find yourself here, and what kind of traffic did you have to fight through?
It was definitely a very up and down race for this 19 team, that's for sure. We definitely had a good car. I figured out more as the race went. And, I mean, to end up in the podium, I had quite a bit of front-end damage. So, I mean, I can't believe I managed to battle and get up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's always incredible when we get to see you guys, work your way up through. I mean, you qualify in 9th, you kind of hung around all night long. You had some bad luck, as it seemed like everybody did coming out of 4. And everybody was saying the same thing about the setup tonight. What did you do to try to compensate for the crazy setup?
He just really had to take it easy and definitely not overdrive it, that's for sure. Slower was actually faster.
All right, man. Slower being faster, slow and steady, winning the race, or at least finishing in third tonight here in Iowa. So before we cut you loose, who helps you get it done on the 19? Who do you need to shout out tonight?
Just, my family that's always so supportive, and Chicken Coop Racing, they're an awesome team here. So, yeah.
All right, man. Congratulations. Take this one back to South Williamsport as you wait patiently for the Little League World Series. And we will see you next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
All right, thank you.
Well, Shane, here we are, another one in the books, another non-playoff driver bringing home the checkered flag. Once again, it just seems like this is a continuing theme in this league.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to shake things up with a playoff point system, because it's taking a bigger chunk of points away from everybody to try to fight for, which is just going to tighten up that 1 through 5 window leading into Atlanta.
Yeah, but before we get to Atlanta next week, we need to make sure that we tip our cap to everybody who started and finished this race. 14 drivers took the green flag. 14 drivers crossed the start-finish line at the end of this piece. Jacob Plank, though, he captures the checkered flag and is joined on the podium by Kinsley Smith and Curtis Ecker. Brandon Honeycutt and Truth Hoke round out your top 5. Andrew Teft, Alan Wild, Alan Bergen with one of his best finishes of the season finishes in 8th. Kirby Wainscott and Dennis Kane round out your top 10. Troy Thomas and Brandon Zimmerman come home 11th and 12th, while Alex Teft and Jason Bottoms in the 5 machine finishes 13th and then 14th for Bottoms. So unfortunately, somebody had to finish toward the rear, and it happened to be Jason Bottoms tonight, down 50 laps. But at the end of the day, it was still an incredible competition here in Newton, Iowa.
Yeah, and that's the one thing this track has always provided, whether it's been in the Truck Series or the Xfinity Series, has been tight racing, and we just saw it with the next-gen cars here tonight. I got a feeling it's going to be putting on a lot more shows and a lot greater performances as time goes on.
Yeah, I want to encourage everybody to tune in next Thursday night when we go live at 7:30 p.m., bringing you the season finale here in the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series. Of course, the following week we will be restarting a new season, so no rest for the weary and no breaks, no days off, as Coach Parcells would say. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in and being loyal watchers, listeners, and followers here on Sim Racing Media. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, welcoming us into your homes and onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. And tomorrow and every day, as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.
Until we meet again, everyone, please do take care.